So, about 3 years ago, we spotlighted this particular Sunday, that Sunday right before Thanksgiving, is always to showcase our young adults. And the first was Jafon Seeley. You may remember when he did his first talk here. And then if you were here a few weeks back, you saw Jafon after he's been now a seasoned pro. He's out there. He just did a TED Talk. He's done his stuff. He's traveling all over speaking. And so, again, it was the launching of a voice that is important for that generation and for our generation, frankly. So then we had Dana Robinson, and then Dana equally blew us out of the water with her interpretation of the world and what she needed to do and the voice she had. And now she's a member of the Centers for Spiritual Living Diversity Committee. And so now she's been traveling to help Centers for Spiritual Living become more diverse and to also reach out to people of all ages and races and backgrounds. So again, our young people are making a difference in the world in which we live. And so now today is no different. We feature yet another amazing power in our young adults. And so I want to just introduce you. You've seen her before. Ingrid Alli is an actor, spoken word poet, and writer from Richmond, Virginia. She's one half of the award-winning spoken word duo Twin Soul Poets, and I know you've seen them here before, with her fiancé, Hamilton Graziano. She earned a degree in performing arts from Point Park University in Pittsburgh and has performed professionally on stage in plays and musicals. She also has several film and television credits to her name and moved here to Atlanta in 2013 to pursue a career in the booming film and television industry here in Georgia. No, well, so did we. Yeah, so I'm right with you. Ingrid, I'm still looking. You're in a better chance than me. Ingrid believes that as an artist, she has the responsibility and privilege to heal and inspire by being a vessel for truth, and she does her very best to live her own example in her professional life and in her work. She impressed Reverend David and I when we heard her speak. It was on, I think, a YouTube clip that was when she was speaking for the Coalition of Women for 1 Billion Rising Revolution, which speaks out against the exploitation of women. Her voice, her mind, her actions are powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Ingrid Alli.
Thank you, David. There's still time. You can still make it. Repeat after me if it feels good to you. I choose joy.
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 Do you choose joy? Yes. In the midst of life's many shifts and changes and challenges, are you choosing joy? When Reverend David asked me to come and speak today, my first thought was, oh, wow, what an honor. And my second thought was, what the heaven am I going to talk about? So I went into a deep meditative space. And in that space, the word joy kept coming to me. And a song called I Choose Joy by Larnell Harris kept playing over and over again in my mind, and so I took the not-so-subtle hint from the universe that I'd be here talking about joy today. And I wanted to come from a place that was personal and sincere and was coming from a concept that I was actually working with in my own life. I also wanted to talk about the concept of joy in terms of how choosing personal joy can incite global change. And I don't think that there could be any time better than now to have a conversation about joy. I think a good place to start when asking yourself, am I choosing joy in my life, is to define what joy is. The first definition that I came across on the Merriam-Webster online dictionary is the emotion evoked by well-being, success, or good fortune, or by the prospect of possessing what one desires, a state of happiness or felicity, a source or cause of delight. And what I noticed about this and other definitions that I found for joy were they had a couple things in common. One was that they all defined joy as the result of an external factor, such as success or good fortune. And even when defined as a state of well-being, there still was no answer as to the source or cause of that state other than something external to it. And then I came across this quote. We want to speak about freedom. This is a vibrational universe. The only source that flows is the source of well-being. We are free to allow that well-being to flow to us and through us, or we can pinch it off. It is our call every time. That is a quote by Abraham Hicks. Some of you, I'm sure, are familiar with her and the work that she does. And if you're not, I highly recommend checking out her videos on YouTube and reading some of her books. She's wonderful. But this is what made the idea of choosing joy really fall into place for me. Not only is that well-being and that joy always available, but I believe that it is the truth of who we are. Therefore, to choose joy is to choose your own divinity. To choose joy is to say yes to your God self. To choose joy, regardless of external circumstances, is one of the truest freedoms available to us. So I've begun to experiment with this idea of choosing joy. And something very interesting has started to happen. I have started finding joy in unexpected places, and more joy has started finding me. When I first started exploring how to choose more joy in my life, I was absolutely amazed how much I was resisting it. It sounds ridiculous to share this with a huge crowd now, but I'd find myself starting to feel good or happy about something, and then I'd stop myself because, you know, I got all that student loan debt, and my apartment's a mess, and you know, social media in general. And Reverend David talked about this several weeks ago. You know, once my loans are paid off, then I'll be happy. Once I become a homeowner, then, you know, I'll be happy. Once I meet the love of my life, then I'll be happy. Once I fill in the blank. The funny thing is that once you begin to take the focus off of needing anything outside of you to determine your state of being, to prioritize cultivating the joy within, the things you want tend to just show up anyway. Maybe some of you can relate. I think it's a fairly common scenario to justify our resistance to joy to ourselves and others by citing everything that is wrong in our lives and the world. Except for young children. If there was ever a case for children being some of our greatest teachers, this is it. Children prioritize their joy above anything else, and they do not like it when anyone or anything gets in the way of that. You can just see it in their eyes, dashing around the room, looking for the next joyful thing to do before an adult can stop them. I remember one day when my parents came down into the playroom to find that my younger sister had decided that the white wall in the playroom was far too boring. It was a beautiful mural of blue magic marker, full of at least 10 smiling faces, each individually signed by the artist. I mean, that's how unconcerned she was about the repercussions of expressing her joy. She had the audacity to sign each and every smiley face. And we left it there, actually. We didn't paint over it till we moved, because it kind of became this awesome expression, and it was just a part of the house after that. But how many of us are willing to sign off on our joy? To claim it, even when the outside world tells us we're not justified in it. I'm sure many of you have heard of the study that cites that children tend to laugh hundreds of more times a day than adults do. Now, when I researched this, I found some conflicting theories about that. And many said that it wasn't actually that children laughed more than adults do. It was actually being in social situations that incited laughter, whether being a child or an adult. But my theory is whether or not children actually do laugh more, they tend to laugh far more deeply and fully. Have you ever seen one of those viral laughing baby videos? Okay, you see the baby just keeled over in that kind of painful, gut-wrenching belly laughter, literally falling over because, you know, daddy keeps ripping that paper towel in half, and it's the best thing I've ever seen. When's the last time you laughed like that? In my early childhood, before I was introduced to science of mind and new thought, and I spent many Sundays in what I'd call traditionally predominantly black churches, Baptist churches specifically. And at any point during the several hours long service, but especially, I mean, y'all know if you've been there, it's real. But especially when the choir was singing, some of the people in the congregation would experience what is often called catching the spirit or catching the ghost. In reference to the Holy Ghost coming into their body, they were praising and giving thanks. They would be ecstatic. They would shout, hallelujah. I've seen some interesting dances, okay? They would just go with whatever came through. Sometimes they'd jump up and down, and sometimes they'd be so overwhelmed by the joy of God that they would just pass out. I once saw an older woman, and this is a true story, run an entire lap around the sanctuary, okay? And then, y'all know, and then end in a cartwheel, okay? It was one of my best moments in church. It really was. I'm not going to do a cartwheel. Maybe afterwards I will. But that's how unashamed they are in that environment, to be filled with physically and vocally and to express the joy of God. And I admire that. Much like the child who surrenders fully to laughter, they were willing to fully surrender to the experience of Source awakening within them. And I like to think that what they're feeling is the celebration of God within them for being acknowledged. Some of you may have heard of the side effect of uncontrollable laughter from a certain substance that is now legal in several states. I have a theory that what is often coming up is just suppressed joy and laughter. And that said substance temporarily removes the social filter that we have about finding humor in inappropriate or childish or unexpected places. Or even without any reason at all. It's just funny to be alive. It just simply becomes a permission slip for the expression of joy. Abraham Hicks also says that the reason that you feel bad when you think about certain things is because that thought is in direct opposition to what Source thinks and feels about you. I believe that another gift we're given is that when we come together with someone we love and we make love and we experience the heights of joy and ecstasy that we humans feel, I believe that is just a glimpse, just a glimmer of the joy and ecstasy that God has for us, for all of its creation. And I'm not suggesting that you need any external circumstances or substances or stimulants or people to experience the joy that is always ready to dance with you. But I am suggesting that you must give yourself permission to experience it. The full title of my talk is I Choose Joy, Creating a New World by Determined Commitment to Self. I believe that we're in a time in our history that has created unprecedented opportunities for growth. I've also come to believe that there's nothing more powerful to inspire change than one who lives by their own example. It has become very clear that trying to prove to someone else, well, I am right and you are wrong, is not only thoroughly ineffective, but it's also very divisive. But one who decides to stop trying to change everything outside of them so they can feel good and just decides to start feeling good, well, I think they are onto something. Can you imagine if we all began to prioritize our own internal growth and face the divisiveness within ourselves? The global changes that would ensue? I can, and I think that they would be profound. What if we were to stop defending the part of ourselves that our pain cuts deeper than another's? If you want to create positive changes in the world, first feel and choose joy, and then go out and take action. First choose joy, and then go work into your communities. First choose joy, and then go help somebody. You'll get far better results than taking any actions out of fear, I guarantee you. Choosing joy does not mean ignoring pain. But it also does not mean offering that pain a permanent home inside our minds and bodies and communities. And I will just say, for example, in the Black community, there's a lot of pain that needs to be felt, not suppressed. The pain between races, the pain between politics, the pain between everything that's going on needs to be felt first so that we can make room for the joy that's just waiting for us right here, waiting. But you've got to make space for it. Again, I speak of the children who feel their pain as fully as they feel their joy before they are domesticated to believe that certain expressions or emotions are not appropriate or acceptable. I love the story of the one elementary school, and you probably have heard of it, as viral on a lot of social media, that took away all detentions and replaced it with meditation. And what I loved about that is that this allowed the child to be present with what they were feeling instead of letting them be reprimanded and punished for it. And in fact, that school had 0 expulsions throughout the whole year. What if we learned how to be truly present with our feelings again? Instead of just stuffing the pain back down, we could learn to allow it to flow through us. When I decided to do my best to be in joy, regardless of my outer experiences, something very interesting, as I mentioned, has begun to happen. I've been finding more joy in unexpected places. For example, I am not a fan of the cold weather. It's just not my thing. I think I'd be far more weather happy in a place like California, okay? But, you know, I just have this tendency, or this habit, I'll say, to get cranky when it's cold. And I'm walking around like this with the stank face, and it's not cute. But I'm cold, and I just, you know, I'm just like, you know, this. It's not cute. So, well, the other night, I'm walking home with my fiance, and we just had dinner, and it was about 40 degrees outside. And it probably should be in November. It's probably not right for it to be 80. So I guess it was the right way to be. But, you know, I started going into stank face. You know, I was here, I was like, oh. And then I remembered, because, you know, I was preparing for this talk, I had to be like walking my talk. So I was like, okay, I've got a commitment to joy, right? So I began to bring that feeling inside of myself, to connect with that joy that's already within me. And something amazing happened. Within a few moments, the air on my skin, I kid you not, it literally felt different on my body. It began to feel great. It was this pleasurable sensation of coolness on my arms and my legs. I had a skirt on, you know, I was exposed. But I all of a sudden noticed my posture changed. I was standing upright, and I was enjoying this blessing of cold in a way I hadn't before. And maybe it's because I wasn't judging it as bad. And I even had a memory come to me of being a child and playing out in the cold air, and that feeling of the cold air burning in your lungs when you're running, and it was wonderful. And what I realized was that nothing outside of me had changed. It was still 40 degrees. That had not changed. It was still what I would call cold. But the way I was experiencing the cold, me in the cold, changed completely. And that was a big, big aha moment for me. And that can be applied to anything. I had a man come up to me after the first service and tell me how he was able to find the joy after losing a close friend. That he was able to see the legacy of what he had left behind because he sold antiques and beautiful things. And I was like, what a beautiful thing. Even in something like that, even losing a friend, he was able to find the joy of what that man had offered in life and to carry on that legacy. So how can this concept of joy be applied in your life? I really appreciate it when any spiritual teacher or speaker, or anyone, you know, who I would listen to, not only just speaks eloquently or well on something, but also offers a practical application of how it can be applied into their lives. So I'll offer a couple of simple suggestions. First, I would prioritize cultivating an awareness of yourself. Watch, but don't judge your reactions and your offerings and responses to life. Like I said, I was stunned when I realized how many times I defended my lack of joy. Then once you get the hang of that, should you find yourself kind of sliding down the slippery slope of blaming or complaining or thinking repetitive negative thoughts or worrying, etc., simply say to yourself, or out loud if you really want to go for it, I choose joy. State it firmly and with authority. If you're really brave, you could even try it in the middle of an argument with someone. At that point, they'll either think one of two things, that you're absolutely crazy, or that you're onto something. An out-of-context statement like that in the midst of the turmoil of an argument can really shake someone into presence. And either way, you'll probably begin to realize that many of the things that you've assigned so much weight and importance to in your life really aren't that important. We can train ourselves out of disconnection and into joy. When someone asks you how you're doing, what do you answer? Good. Fine. Well, good. Yes. Never better. How about rich and elegant, as Reverend Ike would say? I love that. How about getting better by the second? How about, you know, my wealth shines for all? I mean, just say something that feels right. Say something different every time. Claim what you want. Why not? We're not just fine. We're a conscious people. We're leaders. We're growing. We're evolving. We're beacons of hope. How you doing? I'm a beacon of hope. Like, oh. That was deep, you know, they surprise somebody. Because it does, it affects people. People will start picking up on those things, you know. Even the term good morning, you know, it's something we say, but good day, good living. Because mourning kind of has a connotation of when you're mourning something. And I just wanted to be aware. Just be aware of the things you're offering vibrationally, because I know you all are aware of that. And I've had my great days and my not so great days. But you know what? Finding joy has become easier and easier. Even in just the past 2 weeks, really practicing this, I really honestly am truly happier than I was a couple weeks ago, in truth. And even my fiance said he noticed it, which was very sweet. And he didn't know what I was talking about today, so now he's putting it together. But honor yourself with where you are. If you're angry, I guarantee you that feeling that fully is a much faster path to joy than letting it eat you up and boil under the surface. I highly recommend a book called Emotional Clearing by John Ruskin and The Forgiveness Work of Edwene Gaines. Find a way to let your feelings flow through you and make room for God's joy. He's calling you now. Pick it up. Joy's calling you all the time, folks. That wasn't an accident. If you believe in the law of attraction, which I would guess many of you do, and you subscribe to the feeling that we live in a vibrational universe that is always responding to the thoughts and feelings and general emotion that we are offering, then you can see how profoundly something as seemingly simple as choosing your joy can transform our lives and the world. Another spiritual teacher I admire named Bashar says that everything outside of us is inherently neutral. That we assign the meaning to the world. So why not choose to believe that everything is everything is happening for our good? That we are all on this mysterious and amazing journey together. And I leave you with this. There's a very famous painting by Michelangelo called The Creation of Adam. I'm sure you've seen it. In it are Michelangelo's creative representations of God and Adam. And in the painting, you see God's arm just reaching for Adam, just a breath away from touching each other. It's a visual interpretation of God breathing the breath of life into Adam. God, Source, or whatever you want to call it, is always, always, always reaching for you. And it is up to you to reach back and connect. It is up to you to choose joy. So again, I ask you to repeat after me. I choose joy.
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 Good. Thank you for letting me share my joy with you.
Hi, I'm David Alt, and I simply want to say thanks. Thanks for taking the time to watch our broadcast here at Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We have a vision, and that vision is to reawaken all to their spiritual magnificence. And one of the ways that we are able to do that is through this very medium of broadcasting. So if you got anything out of this, if you felt in any way inspired, or if something spoke to you directly, then I extend an invitation to you to become a part of our family by donating. And there are many ways in order for you to be able to do that. One is to simply go to our website at slca.com, and there you will find all different kinds of prompts that will help you support what it is that we are doing here in Atlanta. One way is to become a pledger. That means that you decide on a monthly basis that you are going to help us with this vision. Another way is to donate through our management system called Fellowship One, another through PayPal, and another even easier way is on your cell phone. You can do what's called text to tithe, and that number is 404-796-7030. Again, thank you so much for your support, and I invite you to come back weekly to see what it is that we're up to. Blessings.